Six states are proposing to get rid of property taxes, and we're going to discuss it tonight. Property taxes is one of those subjects where you're like, hey, we need to get rid of this because we need lower monthly payments. Hi, I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender, and tonight we're going to be talking about one of the biggest culprits of people losing their homes even after it's paid for, and that's property taxes. Property taxes are, so let me explain. Property taxes are taxes that you pay to, if you're inside of city limits, you pay it to the city. And if you're inside of county limits, you pay, if you're inside of city limits, you pay it to city and county. If you're inside of just county limits of where you stay, you pay them to the county only. Property taxes currently go forever, meaning even if your house is paid for, even after you pay it off, you continue to pay property taxes on the home. What I've seen is the original owner of the property, let's say my grandmother, and the house gets left to my mother, and my mother takes care of it, and then she leaves it to me. Those property taxes continue to go no matter who owns it or not. So let's just say that a family let's say it's multiple people in the family who the property is left to, if they have an estate or let's say they don't have a will. Then what I see is people, either one person taking care of the property taxes, or they're not getting paid at all because they're bickering because no one wants to pay those property taxes. So families lose those property because of property taxes. The original owner could lose the property because of property taxes, simply because they don't have the means to continue to pay. So what I want you to understand is when you pay your house off, when you pay your home off, your house off, you're always, as of right now, you're always going to have to pay homeowners insurance and property taxes. You pay the property taxes so you don't lose the property to a tax sale because you're behind on taxes, and you pay homeowners insurance on the property to protect your property. Yes, there is no longer a mortgage on that property. However, you want to make sure your house is protected due to windstorm or some type of damage or fire. So you want to have protection on your home. We're going to talk about 6 states that are looking to remove property taxes because they're taking a lot of people's homes, and people feel like we never truly own a home if I'm continually paying property taxes on this property. If you're chiming in, you're going to want to listen to this, and I definitely want your feedback tonight. I want to know how you feel about the property taxes being removed. And we're going to start. So the first state is Florida. Florida, of all the states planning reform, Florida is the most sweeping. Florida, the measure would abolish all non-school property taxes on homesteads beginning January 1st of 2027, effectively eliminating one of the largest circulating housing expenses for millions of Florida homeowners. Governor Ron DeSantis has reportedly framed eliminating property tax as a long overdue liberation for what he calls the most oppressive and ineffective form of taxation, arguing that property owners shouldn't have to pay rent to the government on homes they already own. That's big. That's major. The second state that is looking to eliminate property taxes is Illinois. So as I go through this list, drop in where you're from, whether you're watching this live or the replay, and let me know if you're also in one of these states that I'm about to mention. Illinois properties pay the second highest property taxes in the nation according to recent analysis. So that they pay the second highest amount in property taxes in the nation in the great state of Illinois. Senator Neil Anderson introduced, and it was co-sponsored by Dave Silverson, to create a homestead exemption. This exemption would eliminate property taxes from homeowners who've paid their share of their residence continuously for the last 30 years. While longtime homeowners cheered the 30 years and you're done proposal, some who have been in their homes for shorter are pretty expressively angry. So that's one of the things. If I currently own a home and I live in it, there's some people who are not but there's some people who are mad because they have to continue to pay property taxes, and someone who has paid off their house has not, may not have to pay property taxes. So Senator Anderson said, if we can start somewhere and just get some kind of agreement that at some point, whether it's 10, 20, 30, or 50 years, you've paid enough money and you're actually own your property and you don't have anything to pay anymore, that's the starting point I want to get there. Meaning, if you pay your house off, let's say they're starting at the 30, whoever owns the home has owned their home for 30 years and no longer has a mortgage. But what he's also saying is, hey, we're proposing that if someone pays their house off, and let's say it's 10 years or maybe 20 years, that if you've paid enough money into property taxes, that you should have the ability to not have to pay those taxes any longer. Before I go to the third state, I also want to explain what property taxes are. Property taxes are taxes, they're typically school taxes, and then you have your regular tax assessment. The school taxes go towards paying for schools, maintenance of schools, staff, and funding schools, right? The other portion of your taxes, they are to take care of roads, utilities, the paying of staff. So those property taxes go towards paying on keeping your city and state and county running and moving forward as they should. That's where they get their funding from, is property taxes. Now, there is something called a homestead exemption in most states. When you get to a certain age, sometimes it's 62, sometimes it's 65, some places maybe 67, that you no longer have to pay school taxes, because at that point you probably don't have any kids in school. That doesn't mean you're not paying your normal property taxes, your assessment taxes, but they typically exempt you from paying the school taxes, and it may vary depending on what area and what state you live in. So property taxes are key to running cities, and because of housing prices, because of the increase in building, increase of infrastructure that cities and counties need to do, they've been reassessing properties consistently for maybe the last 5 or 6 years because of the growth of new homes, new people moving to different areas. So those are key things that are increasing property taxes. And we've gotten a property tax increase on our tax bill for maybe the last 5 years. So as we continue to grow in our county and our schools remain some of the better schools, we're going to continuously see property taxes increase. Now, the third state that has proposed this bill is Kansas. State Representative Blake Carpenter approach would eliminate certain sales tax exemptions, generating approximately $2 billion annually. That money would then flow into a newly established Freedom from Tax Fund, where it would eventually generate enough interest to cover the state's educational funding, which is currently supported by property taxes. The strategy is inspired by Norway's sovereign wealth fund, which leverages accumulating revenue for public benefits. Carpenter estimates that Kansas fund could reach $13 to $15 billion within 8 years, at which that point the annual interest alone would replace roughly 900 million currently raised through property taxes. There's even promises that the fund could one day offset income taxes for the state. So that's big. So what these states are doing is they're looking for alternative ways to generate funds for the state to help replace. Now, I know that people in the comments are going to say, hey, well, we're going to be taxed somewhere, but Kansas's idea is one of the better ones that I've read, simply because instead of charging more to people, they're going to create a fund that has money, and then that fund will create money over a course of 8 years that will then have enough interest to take care of the infrastructure and the property instead of having to raise or charge property taxes. We'll just have to see how that goes. The fourth state is Ohio. A grassroots campaign is gaining steam in the Buckeye State that would establish property taxes by adding an amendment to the state constitution. It's called Citizens for Property Taxes Reform, which is pushing to get property taxes abolished in the ballot in 2025, led by a coalition of homeowners who have been pushed to the brink by their tax burdens. The group's spokesperson, Beth Blackmore, told Realtor.com that she hit the floor after she opened her tax bill, which had jumped 51.9% of her assessed value. That shock led her to connect with other people who were experiencing similar burdens, and now they had until July the 1st of 2025 to get 413,000 signatures from registered Ohio voters to get the proposal on the ballot. So this charge here was actually led by homeowners who are tired of paying property taxes. The fifth state is North Dakota. Now I want you to listen to North Dakota. North Dakota has a different strategy as well. In January of 25, North Dakota Governor Kelly Armstrong used his first state of the state address to propose an abolishment plan that would eliminate property taxes for most homeowners within a decade. His proposal would expand the state's primary residence tax credit from $500 to $1,550 in the first year, funding the program through investment earnings from the state's $9 billion legacy fund. As the fund grows, homeowners would receive larger credits each year until the property taxes effectively disappear. The plan also includes 3% annual cap rate on local property tax budgets, which covers cities, counties, schools, park districts through local governments, and could carry over unused increases for up to 5 years to plan for major projects. Armstrong acknowledged pushback from local leaders, but urged that since the state would soon pay over half of the local property tax costs, it should have a say in budget growth. While the idea follows a failed bill, which they put out in 2024, measure to abolish property taxes outright, Armstrong reframed his proposal as a more durable and responsible path towards the same goal. And the sixth state that's looking to take or do something different with property taxes is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania introduced a Housing Bill 900, which has a clear goal: enabling true homeownership without homeowners feeling like tenants of the government. I want people to own their homes and not have to pay rent from the government all across Pennsylvania. Diamond did not immediately have a plan to offset the loss of the revenue from the eliminating property taxes, quipping that his Substack that folks get all twisted in the knots over how we're going to pay for those taxes currently. So people are getting upset, trying to figure out, hey, if you eliminate these taxes, how are we going to be able to pay for the city and the county's bills, as well as any type of infrastructure changes they need to make. So that is, 6 states that we currently have. And I'm sure there are more that are looking to potentially eliminate property taxes. Now, property taxes are part of your mortgage statement. So inside of a mortgage, you're paying principal and interest, hazard insurance, which is homeowners insurance, property taxes, which could be city and county, and then you also have mortgage insurance. Those are the components of your bill. So the more principal interest goes to the mortgage company, the taxes and insurance gets escrowed into an escrow account so that when those bills come due, the mortgage company can pay the full bill out to the insurance company. They can pay the full bill of taxes out to the tax company. Some people say, hey, cool that you can add it in, but I don't want them to pay the taxes for me. I want to do it myself. If you're not putting down 20% on the purchase of a home and you don't get something called an escrow waiver, you don't have that option. And you said, well, why? Because that's my house and I want to pay it. You do have some ownership in the house, but if something were to happen, the bank at this juncture has more invested into the home than you do. So what was happening was people were, and I've run across this same scenario. People had had mortgages, no mortgage, but they didn't pay the property taxes. And let's say the house burned down, everybody loses. It's no way to reconstruct or rebuild the house unless you pay for it yourself. So the mortgage company, would be out of funds and you're out of a house unless you have the ability to rebuild it. Property taxes, if you lose your home due to property taxes and you have a mortgage left on it, the new person who owns those property taxes supersedes any mortgage that you have. So the mortgage company loses and you lose your home. So while people say, well, that makes making my payment high, you got to remember the bank has more invested in the property than you. Unless you're putting down 51% of the sales price and the bank is bringing 49, the bank always is going to have more invested in you at the time unless you buy it cash. Now, I have had people that I've spoken to who have paid off their home and they no longer have homeowners insurance. And that is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous thing to do. Because if something happens, yeah, you paid the house off, you don't owe anything, you got the land, but where are you going to live? And let's say you don't live there, say it's an investment, you lose and you have to rebuild it yourself or you're stuck with land. So if you're listening and you own a home through inheritance or you paid it off somehow, make sure you have homeowners insurance to cover yourself in case something happens. Now, if you're watching the live, do me a huge favor and tell me where you're chiming in from. And do you live in one of these states that I just mentioned, one of the 6 states? If you're watching the replay, do the same thing and comment in the chat, the comment section where you're currently at. While we're doing that and waiting for some responses, if you have any questions pertaining to home ownership or pertaining to refinancing or whatever questions you have, definitely let me know. But also do me a huge favor. Let me know if you think, are you willing to pay more in something else to your city and state and eliminate property taxes altogether? That's my question. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Great that you're listening and learning. Let me know if you have any questions. Hi, Kevin. If they eliminate property taxes altogether, I would like to see them make some changes, perhaps a cap. If they don't eliminate taxes altogether, I would like to see them make some changes, perhaps a cap, homeowners versus renters, spread the love to the renters as well, not just homeowners. So in this particular case, Mimi, they're talking about property taxes. So and I'm not sure if you joined late, but let's say you had a home and it was paid for, you still responsible for property taxes. You're still responsible for property taxes on that home until the end of time, until they figure out a way to eliminate it. So what they're proposing in these states is, hey, I want to we want to alleviate some of this off of people who've been paying for 40, 50 years on homes. If it goes from generation to generation, these people may not have a mortgage and they're continuously paying forever and ever and ever. So while they're not alleviating it for renters, because renters aren't paying property taxes, homeowners are paying property taxes, and people are starting to feel, hey, I never will truly own this home because I'm continually paying rent to the state of Illinois or Pennsylvania or Florida or Delaware or Georgia every year, and I don't have any mortgage payment to pay, and I've been paying it, and my family's been paying it for 30, 40, 50 years. I get what you're saying, but this particular topic is towards property taxes. Um, Georgia, California. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, my friend? Yep, I will repeat the states that are looking to eliminate property taxes. We've got Pennsylvania, North Dakota, Kansas, Ohio, Florida, and one more place. Let me see. Florida, Illinois, Kansas, Ohio, North Dakota, and Pennsylvania. Those are the 6 states currently looking to um, figure out how to alleviate or reduce the property taxes for homeowners in those states. So what do you guys think? Are you all for it? Are you all for them alleviating property taxes in those states? Property taxes have um, their need, if that makes sense. Trying to use the right word. They have a place. They take care of the infrastructure of the roads, of the land, of expressways, of the buildings in the county and the city. That helps pay some of those fees. So like state of Delaware. State of Delaware does not have sales tax, but they have the largest transfer tax in the country, I believe Delaware does. And why Delaware does not have state sales taxes, because they get it in transfer taxes, but also the taxes that are being paid into the state, because it's one of the business friendliest states in terms of incorporation. So that's Delaware, right? Um, Also, Delaware has one of the lowest property taxes in the nation. So property taxes. So they have, okay, if you're buying a home in the state of Delaware, we're going to generate revenue from you by charging a transfer tax, which will allow for us to keep property taxes low over the course of time, but we'll get a lump sum from you up front. Now, Delaware had increased their transfer taxes, I want to say 2016, but their property taxes don't go up as much as other states, or you don't get a lot of reassessments. So those states were, they proposed, the people in the states, whether it was senators and then states, it was an actual homeowner who proposed those bills. So I'm sure if I kept digging, there's probably more states since this article came out that are looking to do the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I might have saw something about 10 states. I was more familiar with these 6. As of right now, I don't know if California has proposed anything, but you know what? I can look. In the meantime, drop your questions, guys. I want to know what you think, what's going on. If you have any questions about home ownership, do me a huge favor, drop it below. If you're watching the replay, you can also put it in the comment section, and I will definitely answer those questions for you. So it says as of 2026, over a dozen states, including Georgia, Florida, Texas, North Dakota, and Ohio, are looking to do it. So now it's up to 12 states. Indiana, Iowa, Montana, and Nebraska as well. So I feel as though as time goes on, more and more states are going to look to propose something to help with alleviating or minimizing the burden of property taxes for homeowners. What percentage of property tax is Georgia and school tax? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not a guru on that part, like on the tax piece, but we can look it up. Hold on a second, guys. All right, sorry about that. It says we definitely need it in Georgia. I moved from Gwinnett County. Yeah, I'm in Gwinnett County in Georgia, and property taxes continue to go up every year. So you gotta also put in mind that the better the school is, the better the school district is, the better the school district is, typically more the property taxes are. So if the property taxes are higher in your area or in the school taxes seem high, it's because you're in a better school district. They have more expenses and they have more money to invest into it. So Gwinnett County is one of the better school districts in Georgia. You know, if I'm not mistaken, one of the better school districts in the United States, from elementary all the way to high school. So you're going to pay higher property taxes. in there. So yeah, take that into consideration. If you want a great school district, you're gonna have to pay higher school taxes. Let's see. Yeah, if I had to guess, New York and California probably have some of the higher taxes. Now, listen, Mimi, you talk about some property taxes. Gwinnett property taxes are high, but Texas property taxes are higher than Gwinnett County. The same house in same price house in Houston, Texas, the property taxes are double what it would be in Georgia. So if your property taxes were $500 here in Gwinnett County, you're probably going to pay about $1,000 in Texas. Again, so Texas doesn't have state income taxes, but you're paying it in the form of property taxes. So the states that are looking for ways to continue to earn money with money that they have so that they can still be able to pay their bills and keep homeowners from paying property taxes are the states I think are on the right path. If you're a state and you're going to shift that expense to somewhere else, at some point it's not helping either. So if you're in a state and you're going to increase sales taxes, you might end up making more money there because we're in a consumer nation. If you shift it to where it's going to be higher income taxes, then you're taking more money off of people's plates. And then at that point, you have renters who could be paying for property to help with the property taxes when they don't even own it. Excuse me. So figuring out the right way to offset that, because you need property taxes or that income from property taxes in order to pay for the infrastructure and different things that property taxes take care of. So guys, let's kind of reset the room for those who came in late. We're talking about 6 states that are looking to cut property taxes: Florida, Illinois, Ohio, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, and what's the other one? Kansas. They're looking to figure out how to cut property taxes. Are you in favor of it? That's a good question. Also, I have an amazing Facebook group that I would love to have you a part of. It has not grown much lately, and I'm not sure why, but the link will be below to join my Facebook group. Also, if you are not a part of our amazing newsletter, do me a huge favor. The link will be below after this live for you to be able to click on the link to join our newsletter. The newsletter comes out 3 times a week. It highlights videos that we have, upcoming videos, and sometimes information pertaining to the housing market. Do me a huge favor and let me know. Tuned in from California. Yes. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for my people tuning in from California. I know it's late. Well, early there. It's later here. So I appreciate you guys chiming in for sure. So is anyone on here? Has anyone on here inherited a property and you had to continue paying property taxes? California, Zandria, West Side. So while we're waiting, so in other news, just to kind of give you guys some updates, the Federal Reserve Chair, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, gave his last speech as the Federal Reserve Chairman. And they are going to hold steady on rates. So they're not going to cut any rates for the Federal Reserve. President Trump is looking to hire, and I think he might have nominated someone for Jerome Powell's position as Federal Reserve Chair, and that will allow him to have it would allow him to have a little bit more control over interest rates. Contrary to what he says, and it's not political, but contrary to what he says or his mind believes, he actually nominated and got Jerome Powell into office, not President Biden. So the current Federal Reserve Chairman is Jerome Powell, who was brought in by the Trump administration on the first go around. His time is up in, I think, March, and they're going to elect someone else. Now, they are trying to make an effort to lower affordability, in a sense, meaning interest rates. But he also said that he was going to not lower housing prices. So you still need to prepare. You still need to prepare to figure out, what it is that's important to you. Whether you're looking for lower, I did a video, I think it was last week or the week before. Are you more interested in lower housing prices or lower interest rates? President Trump said he would like to have higher housing prices remain higher because people are creating wealth and they've built their wealth through their home. But he also would like to have lower interest rates. So lower interest rates are going to increase the sales because more people are going to come out of woodwork. But it's also going to create a buying frenzy, and then we're going to have higher housing prices. So by bringing lower interest rates, he's going to accomplish his goal of having lower housing prices. Lower interest rates, but it's going to increase housing prices, which then affects the affordability of housing. So we'll kind of be back in that area of, hey, housing is too expensive. The other thing is people that are on here, that are watching this live, that are watching the replay, who said, hey, I'm going to wait till housing prices drop. Housing prices have dropped one time in the last 60 years. One time in the last 60 years have we seen housing prices drop, and that was because of a real estate crash. And that was 2008. So outside of 2008, there hasn't been any drop in prices. People thought because of COVID, housing prices would drop, and they have not. They're making corrections, but the market has not crashed. So, normal appreciation on a house is 5% a year. 5% appreciation a year on a house is what typically happens. A house is not an instant cash machine, and you don't expect to have a significant growth in your equity in your home over the course of 2 years, unless you made some major renovations, maybe did a 203K or some type of renovation loan to improve on your home. But equity is built over time. Instant equity is built over time with paying down on a home, as well as the house is appreciating because of more sales. So that is equity. That's what wealth is, and holding on to it. So let's think of this. If someone buys a home, they stay in it or keep it for 30 years and it's paid off, eliminating property taxes helps further keep the likelihood of keeping that property in your family longer, because then your kids or your grandkids or great grandkids don't lose the house because of property taxes. They still need to maintain it and upkeep, but they don't lose it because of property taxes. Again, guys, we're talking about 6 states that are looking to cut property taxes. And while we were in this, we found out there's 4 to 6 additional states who are looking to do the same thing. I truly believe that at some point, all 50 states are going to be looking at it, because they're trying to figure out how to keep this affordable, how to keep homeowners in their homes. That's a whole nother question. What improvements would increase the property taxes? Thank you. What improvements would increase property taxes? If you build an addition on a home, right? If you build an addition on your home, let's say you add another bedroom, another bath that gives it more square footage. When you go or your contractor goes and pulls a permit, they have to get that plan approved by the city or the county. By getting that plan approved and being permitted by the city or the county, now you're going to have your home is typically going to be reassessed, and that's going to increase your property taxes. Is it going to be significant? Probably not, depending on what you build, but that is a way that it increases property taxes. Because, hey, and let's say at that point it doesn't increase the property taxes, but when they go out to reassess and say, hey, instead of this home being 1,500 square feet, now it's 2,000 square feet, and it's assessed at this value with similar homes that are 2,000 square feet in this specific area, that increases the assessment, which then increases the property taxes. Which, if you look at it, a building permit is also a form of a tax, because they don't do any work to it. You go to the city, you pay, or the county, you pay for the permit to be able to do a foundation, build a structure. Then there's an electrical permit that's potentially needed, a plumbing permit that's needed. So those are just taxes as well. They need to cut it and lower these homeowners insurance premiums. Homeowners insurance premiums aren't controlled by local and city government. They're more so controlled by insurance companies. They have, like in Georgia, insurance rate hike increases have to be approved by the county. By the state, and they're only allowed to do so many per year, and they have to apply for it, right? But you gotta think, like, insurance companies are in the business of collecting money, and when they pay out, we're the ones who suffer. So while you use it because you have it, you get punished for using it. So, like, for instance, let's say you need a new roof, and you go get a quote, or you look to get your roof replaced. If they replace it, and you try to go from one of the insurance companies to another, they're going to see that a claim was paid out, and they're going to tax you on that, because you're more likely. They feel like, hey, this person is more likely to ask for a claim because they've already done one, right? Also, if you have renter's insurance and you file a claim, that follows you to a homeowner's. And if you are a homeowner and you're looking to do a claim, and you call the 1-800 number, and let's say you decide, you know what, I don't want to go through with this claim, guess what? It still may ding you because you called and filed or asked about a claim. So while the insurance is kind of a racket, I did a video, and I think we're going to link it below, with one of the insurance agents I use from Allstate, and she goes in depth as to how and why insurance is the way it is, and how to potentially get a cheaper insurance quote outside of bundling home and auto. Again, guys, if you're not already if you're so wait a minute. If you're watching this live, do me a huge favor and give me a thumbs up for this video. I appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, don't walk away without giving me a thumbs up, which helps push this YouTube algorithm out. Guys, also, if you are not a part of my community on Facebook, the link will be below for you to join. Do you guys even use Facebook? What is actually, this is a good question. Aside from YouTube, what is your go-to social media? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it fan base? Like, what is your go-to way of being reached via social media? I would love to know. So that's a great question. If you feel your property taxes are high, can you request a reassessment? Yes, you can. You can request a reassessment of your property. I don't have the proper steps to it yet, but I would say start with your county or city and ask them what is the steps to get your property reassessed, and then go from there. I believe I had someone on who mentioned they got, or I talked to someone who got their property reassessed and they were able to save maybe $200 a year. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing. So is everyone here is everyone here a part of my Facebook community? And if not, the link will be below for you to join. We got a few more minutes, guys. If you have any questions pertaining to home ownership or this topic on taxes, let's keep talking about it. Zandri, I need you to join my Facebook community. It says when the tax bill arrives, the reassessment info is included. I don't think I've even paid attention because I'm so frustrated that the taxes have increased. So I don't think I have even looked at it. But you know what? I'm gonna look at my tax bill and see. And see. All right. So in order to join the Facebook group, I have to approve it. And the reason why is because I had bots trying to join and then people posting stuff that they did not have permission. So right now it's currently a private group. However, I'm thinking about going back to a public group. So I may start a separate group. But in the meantime, for all you have joined, I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, if you are watching this, do me a huge favor and give me a thumbs up, push it out to the YouTube algorithm, as well as drop any questions you have pertaining to home ownership. I got time for a couple more questions. If not, we can end a little bit earlier. It says, thank you. I followed you and Shahida in taking your advice, and God bless, I was able to close on my house on Friday. That's what's up. Congratulations. Where are you out of? The truth. 5717. Let's congratulate the truth, guys, on closing on their home. Congratulations. I got time for one last question if anyone has one. And so do me a huge favor while we wait for the questions. My goal is to go live at 7 p.m. every Sunday as long as I can. Okay, you the one who relocated from South Carolina, relocated to South Carolina from DC. All right, I remember. Congratulations. My goal is to go live every Sunday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. This is your 7 o'clock programming. So, hey guys, I appreciate you for joining me tonight. If you have any questions after the live, drop them in the chat or the comments. I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. Have a great night.